There is a question here. It's the first one that I see. There are no personal costs in the budget. Yes, there are personal costs. And there, I mean, I don't know why this question is here, because it was one of the budget lines in the budget, in the table, in the submitted proposals. And yes, there are personal costs that you have specified in the amount that you consider appropriate when submitting the proposals. Please keep the timesheets to justify the hours dedicated to these personal costs. The second question that I see here, is there any contact page for Attract 2 projects? I don't understand, Morten, what do you mean with this question? Could you please clarify? Is it possible for Morten to have the microphone and clarify what do you mean with is there any contact page?
Pablo, I already talked with him. I said that I will send all the presentations with the coordinator's email so that they can contact each other.
Ah, okay. Yes, please. Good question, Morten. As I mentioned, and Sergio also has mentioned it, the value of an ecosystem is not the value of your individual project if you hide yourself in a box. Don't do that. Contact others, because maybe the technology you need is developed by other project or could come out of a crazy idea of a student. So keep in contact. If you don't have the email address of somebody and it's not in the list that Karen will be sending around, contact the project administrative office and we will do our best to put you in contact with whomever you're interested with. Pepine is saying the lights. Morten, exactly. I would be helpful to be, okay, now I understand. Thanks, Morten. John is saying about the flow tool, please check it out. If you want to know more or how to get in contact with investors, let us know. For socioeconomic studies, how frequently do we report, and do we report via the participant portal? Okay, for socioeconomic studies and student projects, we will be asking you for a final report about your expenses. It will be an Excel file. There is no need to report through the Commission participant portal. Why not? Because this is, as I explained, a modality that is called cascade funding, and there is no Commission participant portal for reporting about that. You will be reporting to the Attract Consortium through these Excel templates that I mentioned before. For socioeconomic studies, are we allowed to transfer the budget between periods, work packages and types of expenditure, from travel costs to staff costs? Yes. As I mentioned, everybody is allowed to make budget transfers. The important thing is first to notify the project administrative office what type of budget transfer you are intending to do. And once that we know this, we will send you instructions on how to do this and how to formalize the transferring process. Yali is asking how project partners report to the information, the coordinator, and when to report this information. How project partners report to the information, the coordinator, how detailed the report needed to be. Do we also report who is traveling? Hayali, could you clarify this question, because I'm not sure that I fully understand it. Let me see if I read along it. In the TPPA, it says that the coordinator is required to submit a minimum of an interim report and a final report after each round of the student program. Do we get some information on that later on? Okay, now I'm still starting to understand. Do we get any pre-form information to add to our project website? What can we write? What can we write? Is there a pre-made Horizon 2020 text by? Okay, let me see if I start answering the questions, and if there are some other remaining, I will of course try to answer them. So, yes, in the TPPA, it says that the coordinator is required to submit a minimum of an interim report and a final report after each round of the student programs. We will provide the templates of this, and they should be submitted to Seriashi in Aalto University, which is in charge of the Attract Academy. So, do you get some information about this? Yes. You will get full information about what kind of report template you have to consider, fill, and submit, when it is due, and what you should write in each part of it. Do we get any pre-formed information to add to our project website? I don't understand what is pre-formed information to add to your project website.
I don't know if Yali is present on this call.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, good.
Now it works. So for my first question is because we have 3 different partners in the consortium, and one of the partners is asking, because their administration, that what kind of information they need to give us as a coordinator, HAMC, what kind of information they need to give us. So because before that they cannot establish their account for the funding.
You're mute, Pablo.
Sorry about that. So, Yali, maybe it's more useful if we have a chat in the coming weeks to answer all your questions with you and the different partners of your project, because it will take less time than if I'm starting to answer the questions now.
Yes, okay.
So if you guys can send me some slots, and I think Seriashi, it will be nice that you are also present.
Yeah, I'll be there.
If you can send me some slots for the next 2 weeks, and please put Seriashi into as well in the loop, we will be more than happy to have a meeting with you guys and solve any question that you may have. Is it okay for you guys?
Great. Let's just see what we do fast enough, because like our round 0 is already ending.
Oh,
really
don't
soon.
worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. I mean, we are perfectly on time.
Yeah.
We are perfectly on time. I mean, it's not that the answers I have to give are complex, or you guys are running late, or that there is anything urgent that if we don't do it tomorrow, the world would collapse. But it will be faster if we have a one-to-one meeting rather than me now I start to answer questions. Especially because some of them, they are not sufficiently clear for me, but it doesn't matter. We will solve it in a slot convenient for everybody in the next 2 weeks. Samuel, who should we contact again for the Flow initiative? Please contact John Wood. John has left his email in the chat. But John, if you can do it again, just as a reminder for Samuel, it will be great. Then, Dusko, for socioeconomic studies, are there any requirements regarding communication? Do we need to set up a dedicated website for this project? Do we need to use a track logo in our communication to third parties? So you don't need to, you don't have the need to create a website for your project. You can do it if you wish. And we will certainly appreciate that you acknowledge a track in the way that I have put in the slides. You don't need, if you don't want it, to use the attract logo. And the acknowledgement goes mainly in let's say papers or stuff like this, and is mainly an acknowledgement not to attract only itself, but also to the European Commission, that at the end of the day is the source of funding. I hope the question has been answered. Dusko, are we going to receive templates for timesheets? No, we are not going to send templates for timesheets because there are many different modalities of templates for timesheets. My advice there is that most probably any one of the partners in your consortia or even your own institution organization has an EU office or whatever it is, because they have been involved in other European projects, and as long as these templates have been used and validated by the Commission, it is fine for us. We are not going to check your timesheets, by the way. We are not going to ask yourselves about them in the same way that we are not going to ask you to send us all the receipts of your meals, of your plane tickets. No, we are not going to ask about anything of this. This is for your records. This is for your own justifications. What we're only going to ask you about is the Excel's field for the light monitoring, and of course, all the reporting that you will need to prepare to defend the project, the progress of your project in the face-to-face, or what I call the periodic reports. The rest, you should keep for your records in case that you get an audit, to be able to justify to the auditors anything that you have done in your project. But we are not asking you plane tickets. We are not asking you invoices of restaurants. We are not asking you minutes of meetings. This is your job, to keep your own records in order. Then Pepine, regarding Morten's questions, it would be nice if there was a track project webpage to refer to. There is a webpage of the Attract project. Karen can put it in the link. It's the general website of Attract, where we do all the communications, where we do How is funding transferred from coordinator to other partners? Well, it is transferred according to the way that your organization transfers funds. We are not, it's not our part of the job as project admin office to determine how you transfer the funds to your partners. This is according to any practice that you are following. The only thing that an auditor will be interested to know, for example, if is that you have a justification that you have transferred the funds, that the funds are according to what you have written in the proposal that you needed to transfer to the partners, that you have an acknowledgement from the partners that you have transferred the funds. But the way you transfer the funds is in any practice that you normally do it in the same way that we have transferred the pre-financing or the lump sum in the case of the student projects and the socioeconomic projects to all of you. And we have a justification from our treasury at CERN that this operation has been realized. When hiring a person, a question from Barbara, the contract must be adjusted in some way to Horizon 2020 rules, or regular contracts can be used. So, I think that this is a question I don't have an answer for it now, but I think, let me just check, because I don't know if my colleague Florence is online now. Florence is the most knowledgeable person I know about EU finances. And she's a colleague of mine at CERN. And I don't know if, Florence, I see you there. Do you have an answer for this question? In case that you are connected. I don't know, maybe she's not connected. Now, another thing that in line with this question, we are going to organize, for those of you that would like to attend, a special session on finances that in which we will have the luxury of having my colleague Florence explaining a little bit more about finances in more depth, about Horizon 2020, about rules in Horizon 2020, etc. May I ask you, Barbara, to actually keep your question on hold for this moment. The organization, I will speak to Florence and we will try to organize it as soon as possible. Otherwise, I keep note of your question and I will pass it to Florence and I will try to contact you as soon as possible, because I have an answer, but I want to be sure that this answer is correct. So Pablo, I hope, yeah.
Pablo, this is Marcus. Sorry to jump in. I can see in the chat that Florence is there, but she seems to not be able to speak out. So maybe, can you unmute her? I think that might help. Just
yeah, I'm not in control of the...
But she can open her microphone. I mean,
she can open her own microphone. Florence, can you speak now?
To open her microphone.
Hello, it's strange because she's unmuted.
I think her microphone is not working because she has it open.
Florence, are you with your microphone in your computer open?
It has to be her microphone.
Yeah, because she's unmuted.
Yes, she's replying, Pablo, in the chat.
Yeah, but I'm not in the last part of the chat. I'm in the first part answering questions. Otherwise, I lose track.
Okay.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, it's just because I didn't have my headset on. So I was talking, but nobody could hear me. Sorry for this. So could you please just repeat the question? Because since we talk in between, I'm not sure I'm going to answer to the right one.
Yes, Barbara's question is, when hiring a person, the contract must be adjusted in some way to Horizon 2020 rules, or regular contracts can be used?
I think regular contract can be used because we are not in the frame of a Marie Curie project where you have to mention that you are working 100% on a project. So you have to use your own templates, the templates from your organization. And then in case of an audit, what will be required? Of course, it's the employment contract, but the timesheets, because it's the timesheet that can prove that the person worked on the project and not the contract. Is it clear for everyone?
Is it clear for you, Barbara? I hope it is clear. If not, please write in the chat.
Yeah.
She says yes.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, but now that Florence had the chance to, and thank you, Florence, for this.
You're welcome.
She is the most knowledgeable person I know on planet Earth about EU financial regulations. And thanks to her kindness, she has volunteered to run in the coming weeks, and you will receive a notification about this, about a special workshop in which you could formulate more, let's say, detailed questions or whatever it is. I will talk to Florence afterwards, after this meeting, and then we will try to organize this as soon as possible for the benefits of everyone. As usual, all the coordinators will be notified.
Yeah, and please come with all the questions that you may have. I would be happy to answer, even to prepare the question before the session.
Thanks a lot, Florence.
You're welcome, Pablo. Thanks.
Pablo, you're mute.
I'm really sorry about that. So next question is from Santiago. Hi, Pablo. We saw that the first light report covers from 1st June. Do we start counting the 26 months from June 2022? Well, since there has been always a sort of gap for normal reasons when a project has started, the first light report should cover from the moment that you have started charging costs to your project to the moment to the end in which the report is due. I hope it's clear, the answer. The next question is from Andrea, saying, regarding periodic report, from TPPA, the first periodic report is due at month 12, while in the slide is planned for January 23rd, which is earlier. Is this correct? I need to check if the TPPA, what is the month 12 that the TPPA is referring to, whether it is a light report or periodic report. The periodic report, as I mentioned, is the same ones that whenever you are funded by European project, the Commission requires that you do. And the first periodic report, not light report, is January 23rd. Don't confuse it with the Excel, light report. But please, Andrea, could you send me these through email? So I answer to you in a more correct way. But for everyone, the answer to this question is the first face-to-face report in which you will need to defend in front of the independent R&D&I committee the progress of your project, because it's linked to the second payment, will be on January 23rd. When? We still need to determine, but you will be notified with time enough to prepare for it. A different story, as I mentioned in the slides, is the light report. But Andrea, if you send me this by email, I will even clarify further. So then we have the email of John Wood. Please contact him for flow. Angelo is saying for socioeconomic study, all will be clarified in a separate meeting. Yes, in June 10th, there is a meeting at ESADE premises in Barcelona, especially targeting the socioeconomic projects. Please attend, because Jonathan and Angelo will clarify everything, and it's a meeting to set the scene of how to coordinate in a coherent way all the fantastic angles in which you will study and attract. In the same way, I think in June 17th, if I'm not wrong, there is a meeting again in Barcelona in the ESADE premises, specially dedicated for the student projects for similar purposes. So please attend. There is no obligation at all for the R&D&I projects to attend this meeting. Do it if you wish, but there is no obligation. The next question is, does the attract attribution line apply for social media and for informal presentations within institutions? Are there other considerations in use of the attract logo in social media posts and how the students might position affiliations? So the attract attribution line applies for any outreach that you will do. It is specified in the TPPA, the proper use of the attract logo and similar things. Are there other considerations in use of the attract logo? Well, I mean, you can read them in the TPPA, but it's, I would say, a question of respect and common sense. Use it in an appropriate way. But in the TPPA is specified. In use of attract logo in social media posts and how students might position affiliation. I don't understand what the attract logo has to do with the students specifying position affiliation, because the students are not affiliated with attract, are affiliated to an organization, a university. So Christine, could you clarify for me the last part of your question?
Totally. So we often have students, like when they put their experience on LinkedIn or other things, you know, they've studied at Swinburne, but the university, but they've been part of the CBI program and studied with Attract and want to make that connection to the real experience. So are there any ways that we need to be careful of how they do that? Drawing on other examples of other affiliations with, we studied at Stanford. No, you didn't. It was just, you know, we were collaborators in a program. So students can sometimes take a little bit of liberation in the interpretation and reference of their connection to places.
Okay, of course, absolutely. So it's nice if a track helps them in their career in this way. And of course, they are free to use their track logo as long as they don't confuse a track with an institution. So they cannot say that they are affiliated to a track. A track is a project. But they might perfectly say and use their track logo saying, look, I have been participating in a project that was linked to the Attract initiative, and then use the sentence that I have shown in the slides.
At this point, I'd also like to say that we do have a separate Attract Academy logo as well. So if that's helpful, we can forward that to you, Christine, and the students can say that they've been a part of the Attract Academy. So then that makes it a bit easier. So there's no confusion about what part of Attract they're involved in.
Absolutely. I mean, please use the Attract logo. Check the conditions of use in the TPPA. I have written in the slides the way to acknowledge is the official knowledge that the European Commission requires. And any other question that you might have, always send us an email and we will answer as soon as possible. Yes, the students, of course, can use the Attract logo as long as they recognize and acknowledge that it's a project and the project is financed by the European Commission, and they refer to the sentence, they include the sentence I have mentioned in the slides. Marluz, when hiring a person, can we use contracts of the VU, or do we need to take Horizon 2020 account as well? So Marluz, I think that Florence already gave you the answer. But in case that she didn't, or you need more clarifications, please let us know. Then Christine was asking also, can academy projects share short explanation videos for internal, external sharing? Or is this just R&D? And I know, look, we are welcoming every single video that you decide to shoot. Just make sure that when the video is arriving to us, there is no material that you don't want to disseminate, because we will use it publicly. Make use of the Attract channels. If I remember correctly, just to give you a couple of numbers, I think 18% of the projects, between 13 and 18%, don't take, if you want the exact number, I can give it to you, but between 13 and 18% of the projects in Attract phase 1, they got funding from private investors just because they had the Attract label. And I think that 23% of them, they got additional national funding because of the same reason. So please make use of the Attract channels. Then there is a question of Boaz. Does each partner in consortium submit its own Excel with justification for funding? Otherwise, a coordinator has to accumulate all expenses. What mechanism is required to verify an expensive by any partner? We are only asking for one Excel of the whole project, not an Excel from each one of the partners. The role of the coordinator is to compile this information, as any coordinator does in any Horizon 2020 project. It's the same thing that CERN does in compiling all the information of the partners, ESO, ESRF, that are in our consortium. Now, for your peace of mind, Boaz, in Horizon 2020, in Horizon Europe, if somebody screws up, it's their own responsibility. So your partners better be sure that they are providing you good information, and that is information that an audit will be able to verify, because an auditor will not blame you for transferring them the money. An auditor will be blaming your partners for not being able to justify the expenses. That's why I was insisting in, please don't try to be smart. What else? Christine is also asking, I would be keen to understand also Jerry's verbal question about reporting. So look forward to benefit from what is done in round 0. Okay, so since I agreed with Yari that I'm going to have a separate chat with them, maybe it would be interesting for you, Christine, to contact them afterwards in case that any info is of your interest. If not, write me an email as usual, and I will do my best to actually answer any question and have a chat of whatever thing is bothering you. Is there going to be a web page that shows all projects? Yes, there is going to be a web page that shows all projects, and we will be incorporating in the all the info that you will be giving us about your project additionally. I don't know, Karen, but maybe you could actually show in the link in the chat the link to the Attract showroom of phase 1.
Yes.
It shows how the different projects have been now reaching everybody there. I mean, I don't know how many views we have for the Attract showroom in phase 1, but it's enormous. It's enormous. And there are views from all kinds of people, policymakers, investors, etc. It's an amazing way of promotion. So please, as I mentioned in the slides, let us know what can we do for you to multiply your outreach. What else is there? Do you have more info about the clinic sessions on month 10 and month 41 from the guide for applicants? So, what are the clinic sessions on month 10 and month 41s? They are events in Attract and workshops, but which, among other things, provide the opportunity for any one of you to go on a private conversation with us, meaning the Attract Consortium, in saying, look, guys, in the course of my project, you can you do this? Can you do this for me? Can you actually put us in contact of this? Or we have problems to actually transfer our knowledge to this type of guys. So this is let's say the philosophy behind the clinic sessions. How are we going to organize this type of consultations or this type of opportunities for you guys to get in contact with us and say, can you help us in this and that? We still don't know, but so the information I can give you for the moment is this one. So let's see the comment of Morten. In the TPPA, we are jointly liable. Its partners globally liable towards Attract. That is what it says, and it's quite different from Attract 1 and caused a lot of problems for me here in Spain. We can discuss this offline, Morten, but There is no difference in liability between the TPPA of a track phase 2 and the TPPA of a track phase 1, because the liabilities are different. But let's discuss this offline if you have an interest. The liability refers here to some case in which we give the money to an attract project and we never hear about this project anymore. Like if this project has disappeared and in a certain period of time we hear by the newspapers that they took the money and they are now enjoying caipirinhas in a fiscal paradise. This is when you are globally liable. But as I mentioned, is liability against fraud. But we can have a separate discussion if it helps you now. Please send me an email about this. But as I mentioned, rest assured, everyone in the ENIATRAC consortium, as well as in any European funded project, is responsible for their own wrongdoing. This is how Horizon 2020 or any European project goes about. Now, the duty of a coordinator is always to keep an alert eye in the case that something goes wrong or something starts to go wrong. Because then your duty is to notify, in your case, to us, and then try to find the solution together and understand the reasons why this project is starting to provide signs of disarray, and together with the Commission, trying to find the solution to this. It has never happened in a track phase 1. And this is the element of trust that we also have in this ecosystem. We are not giving the money to nobodies. And the first people that you have to respond to is your own financial officers. But of course, there could be always a case. And we require the collaboration of the coordinators of all the projects regarding this. Alert us when there is something that requires our attention. So I don't see any other questions in the chat, but that doesn't mean that there might not be questions that are not in the chat and you want to ask now. So please, the floor is open to any additional question that you may have. Okay. So we are well ahead of time. That was also the purpose. We don't want to entertain you with unnecessary things. Once again, from the Attract Project Admin Office, thank you very much. This is a fantastic ecosystem. You are all part of it. An ecosystem doesn't work if people don't talk to each other, talk to the students, talk to the scholars. Nobody is here for stealing anybody's ideas and thoughts, especially the students. Don't be afraid about them. The scholars undertaking the socioeconomic study are key for showing the policymakers that a track has a future value and that is worthwhile investing in scaling up. And from the Project Administrative Office, we are here to help, but please help us to help you. And I think I will leave with the final words of Michael to close the event.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, everybody, for the contributions, for the very exciting projects you have presented to us. I think this really will make a difference in the months and years to come. Just, Pablo, a bit of a bad news. I closely monitored you, and I have to say you have been far from being boring. So I took specific time points. There was basically no drop until about 10 minutes before the end, when the questions came in lower. You peaked, you started with 116, you peaked at 119, and we are just above 100. So I think you did an excellent job. That's not a surprise to us from the PCB, but still I would like to underline your fantastic job you do together with Marcus and all the others at CERN for moving forward that great project, which I think so far navigated safely and intelligently through troubled waters. The waters are still troubled, but a truck will continue navigating, thanks to you, the coordinator, thanks to the various supporting bodies, but most and first of all, thanks to the excitement within the different projects that are really very, very promising. And I'm pretty sure that in a few months and latest at the pre-final conference, we'll see the fruits of your hard work. It is beautiful to see as well is that there are many, many European countries participating, but not only European countries, but as well countries from outside Europe. I would like to mention Australia. We've seen contributions from Australia, the US, South Africa, and Israel. And I think this is fantastic as well, that it's not constrained and refined and confined to Europe, but it's reaching out through the entire world. And with that, I wish you all the best. Good luck for your projects, and hopefully to see you healthy and relaxed at the next occasion. And please work together, reach out to colleagues and countries that are a bit in difficulties, try to integrate them wherever you can, and make science and technology be the link and the glue for a safer world. Thank you.